UFC Vegas 120, UFC Fight Night, Mateus Gamrot versus Killian Southkill. I think this is a pretty entertaining card. I don't think it's gonna be that much of like a name value spot. There's a couple good names on here, but there's not a lot of huge fights that I'm super interested in to watch. But we're here, we're in this channel, you're watching this video. Regardless of whatever fights the UFC gives, I'm sure we're going to be watching. I mean, there's gonna be a couple good scraps, right? Like I think Diego Ferreira versus Billy Quarantino is a good scrap. I think Ty Miller versus Billy Ray Golf is a good scrap. I think Dihar Nergoze versus Bruno Lopez is also a good scrap. I also think Steven Asplin versus Gamrot Pat is a good scrap. But that's pretty much it. Like, they're good scraps, but the name value just isn't there for this card, which kind of sucks. But we're still going to have good plays. We're going to have good spots. We're going to have good entries. We're going to have good breakdowns. And without further ado, let's start right now. This is going to be Certified MA Locks early card breakdown, leans, play, a little bit of plays, I guess. But let's start right now. Mateus Gamrot versus Killian Southkill for our lightweight bout main event. I'm not entirely sure this should be a main event, but Quillian Southkill is a very hyped prospect right now. A lot of finishes, a lot of round one finishes. His most recent one, they're all entertaining to see over. I just don't know, man. Like, I know the odds right now. They currently have Quillian Southkill as the favorite over Mateus Gamrot, but I don't know. I feel like I just can't see it. Like, I believe Quillian Southkill's the majority of his win equity is going to be a finish. If this fight goes to decision, I favor Mateus Gamrot, man. Like, if this fight goes to decision, that means that I kind of infer if this fight goes to decision, Gamrot got his game plan to go, which is the takedowns, just staying on top, staying safe, landing some ground and pound here and there, controlling for the most part. This is tough, man, because I like Salkild as a prospect a lot, but this is going to be his first time facing a wrestler of this level at Mateus Gamrot. Maybe Benil Dariush kind of counts, but the chin durability just, no matter how much Benny's skill set is good, that chin, it just makes it just, like, the playing field isn't even at that point. Mateus Gamrot here, if he's able to implement his game plan, it's going to be a lot of wrestling, a lot of takedowns, and if he can control Quillian Southkill, which I have seen Quillian Southkill controlled before, but it's more so in the regional scenes. In the UFC, I don't think he's been controlled, man. Like, maybe like Yanal Ashmore stayed on top of him a little bit, but it wasn't that dominant, and Quillian Southkill quickly got reversal too. I think there's going to be a lot of scrambles in this fight. I think it's going to be a lot of back and forth grappling. I think it's going to be a lot of entertaining scrambles, reversals, and if that is the case, I kind of favor Mateus Gamrot, man. And at the underdog price tag, it's also looking at me as well too. But I'm not entirely sure how much finishing equity Mateus Gamrot has here. Mateus Gamrot is going to be the better wrestler. I know that for a fact. But if we're talking a submission specialist grappler, I think Quillian Southkill is the better grappler. And if Gamrot isn't careful with his wrestling and he just keeps shoving his neck into places it shouldn't be, Quillian Southkill could just wrap it up and get a submission. Like we've seen it happen before with what's his face, Charles Oliveira. But Charles Oliveira is a submission specialist on a higher level than Quillian Southkill. So this is why I'm going a little bit back and forth, because Gamrot made it very competitive against Sarukian, and Sarukian's one of the best wrestlers inside the UFC, regardless of whatever weight class. And Gamrot was able to out wrestle Armin Sarukian. So there's levels to this, But by the paper study, by the tape study, Mateus Gamrot should out wrestle Quillian Southkill. But Southkill also has this factor to him where he is a high growth fighter. He grows fast after every fight. And Gamrot, I don't want to say he's on his way out, but he's on the later end of his career. And Quillian Southkill is just at the start, or like start, middle, like he's touching his prime. the younger fighter here, man, in his the younger fighter should win, but I still believe Mateus Gamrot should win this decision. Should win this decision or just win enough rounds, maybe find a late finish. A late finish for Gamrot is not entirely impossible either, man. I don't want to spend too much time on this because this is supposed to be an early card lean, but this fight is pretty interesting to me on the stylistic aspects because it's a wrestler versus striker slash grappler. Krillin Salkild is very well rounded too. Like people forget just because all of his, he gets a lot of finishes that he's a really reputable grappler himself, and he's faced grapplers many times in his career too, especially in Eternal MMA. None of those guys have the skill level of Mateus Gamrot though, so I favor Mateus Gamrot here, but maybe my lean will change as the week progresses. But I did all the tape study already, and I can't shake it out of my mind that Mateus Gamrot is going to get these takedowns and he's going to win the minutes, and then those minutes will turn into the rounds, and he might be going into round 4 up 3 rounds at least. And that's all you really need to win. The gas tank, you kind of have to favor Mateus Gamrot too. I will say though, the striking Krillin Salkild has him beat there, but I don't think it's by much either. Mateus Gamrot has very rigid striking, so that is a concern, right? But outside of a KO or a submission through a takedown, Mateus Gamrot should win this fight. I'm gonna take Mateus Gamrot for the early pick, but it's not with the highest confidence. But my gut feeling is definitely telling me Mateus Gamrot. Diego Ferreira versus Billy Quarantillo for our lightweight bout. This is a fight I feel like people should stay away from, but because people stay away from it, the odds should be good. And why am I making videos? It's because I'm here to make risk and plays. Diego Ferreira should be the more of a submission threat than Billy Quarantillo. But if he were to win this fight, it's not going to be early, in my opinion. Diego's going to have to weather an early storm, and he is almost a 2-1 favorite. Billy Quarantillo is also an old man in the later half or later end of his career, but his fighting style has not changed. He's going to press forward. He's going to throw bunch of combinations, loopy combinations. He's going to be exposed while throwing the combinations, so Diego could get some counter strikes in as well too. I think this is going to be a war, man. There's no other way to break down this fight than it's going to be a war until somebody falls. It's just the question is Billy Quarantillo going to finish Diego Ferreira early in the war? Or is Billy Quarantillo going to gas out in this war, and then Ferreira picks up the pace and finishes him late? That's kind of how I see it. Like Diego could catch him early on too. A nice counter punch right to the chin of a very exposed, hittable Quarantillo. Like I'm not ruling that out completely, but I see a finish in this fight. I don't think this fight goes to decision. It could go to decision, but it would be very bloody back and forth, and it's going to be a sweat if you play it. I like this fight to end by finish, and I like this fight to end by knockout. I'm going to lean slightly Diego Ferreira, but it's a knockout either fighter in my opinion. But I will lean Diego Ferreira survives round 1, and then he'll push the pace on Quarantillo, or, have a striking match where he catches Quarantillo. Give me Diego Ferreira for the early lean, but we'll see as the week progresses how I look at it. Darren Elkins versus Yadir Delval for our featherweight bout. Oh my gosh, Yadir Delval did not look good against the Monkey King, but to be fair, the Monkey King against guys that cannot get up. He also, the Monkey King has some weird striking that can shut down strikers. It is what it is. I don't like the price tag against Delval, especially considering his last performance. But in all honesty, Delval should win here by finish. Darren Elkins, when I was watching his tape, like his most recent fights, like he was not reacting to shots well at all. I think he's done. Like I think this is a very perfect setup layup match for Delval to go back into the win category. But I don't think Darren like when I was watching, I was like really paying attention if Darren Elkins has the wrestling pressure to get Yadier Dovel down. Darren Elkins is a grappler himself, but I don't think his wrestling pressure or takedowns is that high level or that efficient at that. I don't think Darren Elkins has a shot to win against Yadier Dovel. It's just a matter of fact if Yadier Dovel um, will get stalled or he'll find the finish. And I really lean Yadier Dovel finish. I know Yadier Dovel pretty well, like during the Isaac Dogarian situation, whenever his name was mentioned or some influencer quoted that Dogarian, cheated enough, just quit on that fight, just gave it up, Del was under every single post, just commenting back and forth, literally every single post, anytime Dogarian was mentioned. I think Yadier Dovel has a very high sense of pride, and coming off of the first loss of his career ever, I think he's going to go in here really looking to make a statement and find a finish. I don't think he's going to be a Rakic. I think Del will find the finish here. It's just a matter of question if it's a KO or a sub. Del has a lot of power in his hands as well. The knockout is definitely possible, and then club and sub is definitely possible as well too. Or Del transition to the back, finds a rear naked choke. That's possible too. I like Yadier Del by finish a lot. I lean KO, but I most likely will just stay finish. Miles Johns versus Jesse Rosas for our featherweight. Oh, this one just popped up because I haven't seen this fight. I haven't seen. I haven't seen this fight in general, and I haven't seen Jesse Rosas tape, so I can't give a view on him just yet. But I can give a view on Miles Johns. Miles Johns very well rounded, durable, great striker. A little bit on the slow side, unless it's a very hittable fighter like what's his face, man. He literally just beat Beksa Ahmed Khan. John Matsumoto. Yeah, Miles Johns is, yeah, he's decent, man. He's very well rounded here. I'm very curious to watch the tape study on Jesse Rosas because Miles Johns for your UFC debut is not a it's not an easy task to do. Miles Johns very well rounded, great takedown defense, great takedowns himself if he implements it, and then he controls the distance very well in the striking as well. I'm very interested to see this match. I can't give you guys a pick on this one or a lean just because I don't know the other fighter, but well, moving on, Louis Sutherland versus Jose Montana da Silva for our heavyweight bout. Okay, this fight I actually did do full tape study for. Jose Montana da Silva, when I was watching his tape, I started from the bottom all the way up, and I watched all his early finishes, and they were not overly impressive to me because they were against fighters that were like 0-0, 1-0, something like that. So it's just more regional guys that have not had the experience or skill set to combat Jose Montana da Silva. And yeah, he got easy finishes in that. But the moment he fought a real fighter with wins under his belt, like 3-0, Jose Montana da Silva kind of just crumbled. Like round one against the 3-0 fighter, he was taken down and he should have been controlled the whole entire round, but nothing happened. Like Jose just accepted the bottom position, made zero attempts to get back up, and just was content with the other guy laying on top of him, little push here, little push there. But there was just nothing that happened, so the refs stood them up and they were back on the feet. And then I watched Jose Montana da Silva get dropped in the regionals once in round two and then twice in round three. And then the whole entire duration of the fight, there was not many strikes being thrown by Jose. Like he was just kind of blob maxing, just jumping back and forth, pretending to strike. Like it just was a bad look. And then whenever he did get hit, he didn't absorb it well. His body language was bad. Like the moment I saw that, I was like, dude, Sutherland is a regional can crusher. Like he is going to beat any regional guy coming inside the UFC from the heavyweight division because Sutherland has power wrestling and he stays safe on top and then he lands enough ground and pound or he lands enough damage from top pressure to just keep the position, and then it would be a very boring heavyweight blob decision win for Sutherland off takedowns and control and a little bit of damage. But it threw me for a whole loop because Jose Montana da Silva took a 2-year layoff after his very first loss. And when he came back, he won 3 fights in a row. All 3 were via finishes. They were against fighters with not great records, like undefeated fighters, but like 1-0, 3-0, But in all those fights, I didn't even recognize him because his whole body composition changed. He was no longer the fat heavyweight that I was watching in his earlier career. He was lean. He was filled out. He had a six pack. He had muscles, and most importantly, he had the killer instinct to finish. I don't know too much in those three fights. He kind of just demolished them. Like on the feet, he would land heavy, damaging shots that would just wobble the opposition. He would implement a takedown, get them down to the ground, and just unleash heinous ground and pound, heinous elbows, disgusting punches from top mount. Like, there was finishing instinct in this guy that I didn't see in his earlier fights. And yeah, it was a completely changed fighter. I was very surprised about that. So that made me pause a second on the Sutherland take. But it I don't know what his game looks like when he is taken down. Like I know he's came back better. He has a lot of offensive pressure. He's made a huge ton of improvements in his MMA game, but I'm still like in those three fights. It was complete a one-sided demolition by Jose Montana da Silva. So I don't know if he's improved much on his ground game from bottom, from lying on his back. And then I still think his chin is a little bit suspect too. Sutherland doesn't have the best power, but if he drops you, he'll get on top and he'll win. So I'm not entirely sure on this play, man. Like, this is a UFC debut with a potential, but this is going to be his toughest competition yet. Like, Sutherland has way more levels of experience in the MMA game than Jose Montana da Silva. And then he also has multiple UFC experiences as well, multiple UFC fights. I see this fight like two ways, right? Jose Montana da Silva will create a replica of the Brando Pericic fight against Louis Sutherland, or Louis Sutherland is going to create a replica of the Tai Tuivasa fight against Jose Montana da Silva. I have a soft spot for Louis Sutherland because he got me a nice ticket, plus 600, decision win, plus 3 takedowns over Tai Tuivasa. He made that. Like, I have a soft spot for fighters that give me a winning ticket. So I'm kind of inclined to take Louis Sutherland for the experience and the very direct win route, which I know he will implement. But I wouldn't be surprised if Jose Montana da Silva is able to land a shot accurately enough and the power is felt. I'm not, and then another thing too, the gas tank for Jose Montana da Silva, if he doesn't finish Louis Sutherland in round 1, I think he's going to gas out bad because this guy swings with everything in his shots, and he is a heavyweight. But the body composition change, he's leveled up a lot in his game. He might knock out Sutherland, but for the early lean, give me Louis Sutherland. Decision win, probably. Ty Miller versus Billy Ray Goff for our welterweight bout. Ty Miller and Billy Ray Goff is going to be a very interesting fight. They're both heavy strikers. I would say Billy Ray Goff has more power than Ty Miller, but Ty Miller has the more clean boxing combinations and a better fight IQ overall. But both of these guys like to brawl, so does fight IQ even matter that much? I don't think there's much of a submission threat from either side. Definitely not Billy Ray Goff. Ty Miller, I know he has some BJJ skills, but he likes to stand and bang. And this is a fight coming off of a knockout win against another striker. I think they're going to be putting up a show. It's going to be a knockout from either side. I don't think this fight goes to decision either. I favor Ty Miller to get the knockout. It's going to be like a breakdown knockout the same way he broke Adam Fugit. I just don't think it's going to be quite as early. Billy Ray Goff is pretty durable, and he has, like, if Ty just, recklessly walks down Billy Ray Goff the same way he did Adam Fugit, I don't think that game plan is going to work well. So it could play a little bit into rounds 2, but I do see a knockout from Ty Miller. Oh, I see a knockout from either fighter, but I lean Ty Miller. For the early pick, give me Ty Miller, man. This is going to be a striking match. I like Ty Miller here. DR Nogueira versus Bruno Lopez for a light heavyweight bout. Ah, man. This fight, This fight also ends in a finish. Bruno Lopez is extremely chinny, but he does have power himself. Dr. Norgoze isn't extremely chinny, but defensively flawed, so he can get cracked and he can get dropped too. His biggest flaw, Dr. Norgoze, is his lack of submission defense. He also has a little bit of a takedown defense hole, but I don't think Bruno Lopez will be able to expose that. But and Bruno Lopez, I'm not even sure he has BJJ skills, but he is Brazilian, so that is built into his bloodline. But Dr. Nogaze is very defensively flawed when it comes to submission attempts. But on the oh, another thing too, Dr. Nogaze, he self-inflicts damage to himself by just poking his eye. That is a tick that I extremely hate. So I'm not very high on backing him in this fight, but my current read is Dr. Nurguze will get this knockout over Bruno Lopez. He should find the finish either in rounds 1 or rounds 2. Dr. does have heavy power, and before the UFC, he was a very hyped finisher. I'm fading Bruno Lopez's chin here, man. I was kind of thinking like maybe potentially Bruno Lopez could use his length a little bit and just clip Dr. and then land some ground and pound and find the KO stoppage. But Dr. counter striking is actually not bad. He can land the shots, and Bruno Lopez, he holds his chin a little bit high in the air. A lot of fighters have this issue, man. Dr. Nurguze should find the chin at some point and should get the knockout win. Give me a Dr. Nurguze for the early pick. Steven Asplin versus Gamrot Pat for our heavyweight bout. This one is easy. Give me Steven Asplin here. I'm taking Steven Asplin all day. The main reason for this is not because he's the bigger fighter or I don't think Pat is good. I think Pat is actually pretty decent for a heavyweight, but there is a little bit of a wrestling and grappling deficiency. I don't think that's something that Aspen is going to take advantage of. Aspen just has maybe like wrestling or pressure from top and some ground and pound. I don't think he has anything else to offer on the ground. But the most important aspect of this fight to me is this is going to be the second time that Steven Asplin's camp game plans for Gamrot Pat. So I know there's already a game plan that was set in place that worked out. Thomas Peterson is a teammate and friend of Steven Asplin. They train together. They're very close. I'm sure he's going to have a lot of tips and pointers because Thomas Peterson has already been in the ring with Gamrot Pat and he has already beat Gamrot Pat. I think Steven Asplin is going to learn a lot from the small mistakes that Peterson made, and he's going to capitalize a lot on what Thomas Peterson utilized to win. At some point, Steven Asplin should take down Gamrot Pat and land some ground and pound. But Asplin's a pretty fun guy. He likes to entertain the crowd, so it's going to be a very heavy striking match early on. And Steven Asplin's power isn't crazy. His volume is definitely crazy. Steven Asplin's volume is going to cause Gamrot Pat to freeze up at moments because Gamrot Pat, I don't think he likes pressure that much, man. He's perfectly content to just sit in the clinch, be held up against the fence, and that's not a style that Aspen's going to implore. But the reason why Gamrot Pat does that is because that allows him to recharge for him to be able to throw his heavy punches. Gamrot Pat is not a very high volume guy. He picks his shots very carefully, and when he does throw, they do come with a little bit of power. Aspen is going to eat some shots, and it is going to be looking a little bit sweaty at some moments, but Aspen's chin is pretty durable. He gets hit a lot, so that's why I'm saying he will get hit multiple times, and it will look a little bit scary, but I trust Steven Asplin here. I trust his durability, I trust his volume, and I trust his endless cardio for heavyweight. Gamrot Pat, I don't think has the same cardio. It's going to be Steven Asplin all day here. I favor a knockout, but it's not going to be early. It's going to happen in the later rounds. Amanda Lemos versus Alexia Tenera for our women's strawweight bout. I like Amanda Lemos a lot. Like, she has very great counter striking. She has heavy punches for the women's strawweight division, but I don't think she wins here outside of a knockout, and that's definitely possible. Alexia Tenera is very good, shiny record, great wrestling, great grappling skills, great submission threat, decent striking, But one thing about Alexia Ternera is she leaves her head right on the central line, and that does not move. In in the fight against Bruno Brazil, like she could have coasted easily, just getting the takedowns, but she kind of likes to stand and bang sometimes, like. And when she stood and banged with Bruno Brazil, Brazil is not known to have much power. She wobbled Tynera multiple times. That spinning elbow almost not almost that spinning elbow did get Tynera on shaky legs, and Tynera was able to stay alive by getting a takedown. I don't think that if that same sequence happens against Amanda Lemos is stuffing that takedown. Amanda Lemos has really good takedown defense in the early beginning. Sometimes it holds out in the later fight, but the moment somebody gets a takedown on Amanda Lemos, I feel like the takedown defense all of a sudden just drops a couple levels. But her submission defense, ever since being submitted, Amanda Lemos' submission defense is pretty good. I don't think Alexia Tynera gets a submission here. It should be a decision, but depending on the odds, we'll see what we'll take. But I like Alexia Tynera here to win a decision with maybe like 3 takedowns, but the first one is going to be tough to get. And then it's going to be a scary 15-minute sweat, especially when it stays on the feet, because Amanda Lemos has great counter striking. She has very good opportunistic striking. She is very accurate. She has power. She's old, but power is the very last thing to go. And Tynera is very hittable on the feet, and her head does not move from the center line. Manuel Sosa versus Richie Miranda for our lightweight bout. Oh, this was just added too, man. Because like when I did this card breakdown, like I didn't see these fights. I know Manuel Sosa, so I can break him down a little bit. Manuel Sosa is an absolute unit, a little tank, very very durable, but he always loses the first round. Like he takes a little bit of time to make his reads, but his power is also real. Manuel Sosa, very durable. First guy to ever win and finish Mauricio Rufy, and Rufy has been looking extremely well in the UFC. Sosa just came off of I think it was his UFC debut, I believe, round 3 finish, and it was a comeback finish at that when he was losing the first round. I don't know about Richie Miranda, so I can't really give you a breakdown on that. I'll do tape study later, and then when I release my full card breakdown, 3 minutes or less videos, I'll definitely cover this fight, so don't worry. And now for the very last fight, Juliana Miller versus Ravina Oliveira for our women's flyweight bout. I have to stop myself from taking Juliana Miller because she's just not that good. But Ravina Oliveira is also not that good. Like, Ravina Oliveira is supposed to be a submission threat. She got subbed by her striker in her last fight against Luciano. Juliana Miller is extremely defensively flawed, but she was somehow the Ultimate Fighter winner. And her grappling's actually not that bad. Like, I don't want to make fun of her too much, Juliana Miller is a dog. Like, she has heart, she has the will to win, and that cannot be crushed from her unless you actually finish her. Carly Judice, I'm not even sure if Carly Judice was even close, man. Like, Juliana Miller kind of just ate the shots, took them on the chin, and kept going. Juliana Miller should be the better grappler here. And on the feet, I don't want to say Juliana Miller is the better striker, because if you actually do the tape study and watch her fights, she just wings punches. She just swings for the fences. They're so wide, they're so loopy, and as she's swinging, she's charging forward, eating a lot of shots, and that's just her style. And typically, I don't like to back fighters with that style, because against somebody with like decent striking, they could be put out. But I don't think Ravina Oliveira has decent striking, so I don't think she will be put out here. Juliana Miller should win this fight, but playing her is actually something else, I like Juliana Miller to win here, and she probably submits Ravina Oliveira, but this is a fight I don't really want action on. Like, at the current price tag, like, Juliana Miller is almost a minus, like, a 3-1 favorite over Oliveira. And I know Oliveira is bad, but, like, it could be more competitive. It could go to decision. And if you're going to decision for a women's fight on a minus 300 ticket with the with the favorite being very hittable, that's just not something I really like to do. But Juliana Miller should get this win, and this concludes the full entire early card breakdown for Certified. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys do, and this was a lot longer than it should have been, but the Mateus Gamrot fight really interests me stylistically, so I kind of went a little bit overboard. But I really hope you guys enjoyed all my takes, my leans, my picks, how I see this fight, how I broke it down. If this helps you on your plays, I'm extremely happy, man. And if you like more of this content, make sure to like, follow, subscribe. I'll link all my socials down below. Help support me on all of them. I appreciate that a lot. I'll see you soon.